the 9 different borderlands we were looking at in Afghanistan, Myanmar, and Colombia, these are all places in many ways where people are the refugees of development. They've been squeezed out of the illicit economy. In Colombia they can't compete in the coffee economy, or they've been displaced by the oil extraction, or they're in Myanmar they've been displaced by commercial agriculture or by different forms of mining, jade mining, rare earth mining, and so on. So these are people who find that the drug economy provides them with a foothold on the land. It enables them to reproduce themselves. And therefore, there's a need to think about a different form of development that doesn't create these forms of exclusion and marginalization. There's quite a lot of narratives around drugs which focus on its exceptionalism and on its violence. And it is violent, but so is cattle ranching in Colombia. So is the oil extraction in Colombia. So is jade mining. They're deeply engaged in kind of forms of violence and exclusion. So there's a need to think about the continuities between licit and illicit economies and the forms of violence meted out by kind of licit forms of development. And then that leads to questions around legalization, which you ask, which is, it's a really interesting and really difficult question. It wasn't a primary focus of our research, but we've become increasingly interested in this. And so there have been experiments in legalization of kind of cannabis farming in Africa, and cannabis in western parts of California, the US. And what we have seen, and again, it's not my main area of expertise, but what we've seen in both of these places is forms of corporate capture. So you open up this market of legal crop production. There's examples also of legal production of poppy, where I come from, in the fields of Lincolnshire or Tasmania or India. And in all cases, it's the big companies who kind of monopolize this business. So the small cannabis farmer or the small poppy farmer can't compete with the kind of industrial scale production of these, and they can't meet all the requirements of the licensing schemes that you have to be able to show you can achieve in order to get into this market. So, legalization in many ways is just marginalizes the small farmer. And if there was an experiment in mass legalization in Afghanistan, for example, well, it's a bit of a moot point now because there is no poppy production going on. But if, for example, that had been enacted between the 2001 and 2021, that would have created the same distress that we're seeing now. So the fact that it's illegal creates this guaranteed market, creates this high price. So there's a need to think about what forms of development that you can't find a magic bullet crop like saffron or whatever to replace it. So you need to think about this, as a system as a whole.